Welcome to round one of the all-new Dunlop V.A.G Trophy and Dunlop Mark II Golf GTI Championships, both of which have a brand new headline sponsor in the form of Dunlop, which brings new control tyres and for the first time ever a dedicated wet tyre too. Also, both series are being supported by a number of high-profile tiered sponsors. Today we're racing on the iconic Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Both championships have extended to 7 rounds and include Brands Hatch GP, Donington GP, Alton International, Snetterton 300, Rockingham and Cadwell Park. Dan Rose started in pole position for race 1 of the Dunlop V.A.G Trophy. Let's take a look at the highlights.
Well, as ever, it was the fast-starting Paul Taylor who leapt into the early advantage, clear of Dan Rose and Stuart Lyons, who'd been on the front row. Massive entry for the opening round of the Dunlop V.A.G Trophy, and the cars streaming through Beckett's for the first time. The two of them getting a little bit sideways, but all very clean. Front of the field, though, Paul Taylor trying to press home his advantage, made a mistake on the brakes into Village, enabled Dan Rose to slip through into a lead he wouldn't relinquish. Stuart Lyons was shortly after able to pounce and claim second place, although mechanical issues would later waylay the Silver Scirocco. Wherever you want action, James Bark is normally to be found in the thick of it, and he and Jason Tingle had a good scrap. The fight for overall Class B honours was absolutely fantastic between the Mark IV cars of James Dowding, Mike Smith and Darren Bedford. Well, the beauty of the Dunlop V.A.G Trophy is that wherever you look, there is always a battle to be found, in particular as you have cars such as the red one, Richard Morgan, out of position and looking to charge up through the order. The real battle of the race was the one for victory in Class B. Darren Bedford and James Dowding wheel to wheel throughout much of proceedings. So as Dan Rose took a fairly comfortable victory, all eyes were at Luffield. Would it be Bedford or Dowding? Well, it's the black car of Darren Bedford who came out of Luffield with his nose in front, and despite everything James Dowding could throw at him, it wasn't enough. So victory for Rose from Paul Taylor and David Fairbrother, and then Darren Bedford winning Class B from Dowding and Smith.
After his DNF yesterday, Parod Stuart Lyons starts from the very back of the grid, but he's a quick driver and he should be able to make his way through the pack. But will he be able to catch 2012 champion and current pole sitter Dan Rose? Let's see. Ben, over to you.
Well, Paul Taylor is renowned for getting off the line well, but Dan Rose is Mr. Consistent. This is how they line up in full, with Taylor and Rose sharing the front row from Ken Lark and David Fairbrother. Darren Bedford, the first of the Class B runners, a little bit further back down the order. Peter Kenley, a very well turned out car, that number 96, as he starts to the inside of row 10. Stuart Lyons, an awful lot to do after yesterday's disappointment. He lines up in 30th place. Such a huge field of cars, which is completed by Jamie Martin. He is on the 20th row. It is going to be a thoroughly entertaining race from the Dunlop V.A.G Trophy, and not unsurprisingly, one or two of them electing to start from the pit lane rather than in the middle of this lot, because we're about to go racing as the red lights flash out and away we go. It's a super start from Paul Taylor. Also well away is Darren Bedford as the pack sprint towards Copse Corner for the first time, and it is Taylor who leads up into second place as David Fairbrother. Also a good start from Harry Volkard. Here comes Len Simpson from the outside of row 18, and he is looking to gain as much ground as he can in the early stages. Into Beckett's for the first time, and it is Taylor who's pulling clear of the immaculately prepared Scirocco of David Fairbrother. Then it is Dan Rose, and then we've got Mike Smith who's just ahead of James Dowding in the Class B battles. So well up is Harry Curley as sprinting down the hanger straight, and Taylor already building out a nice advantage over Fairbrother and Rose. Then we've got Volkard. Next along is Richard Morgan. He has got a bit of pressure from Martin Cully in the Beetle. There's also Ken Lark siding through the pack in the Silver Corrado. He moves to the inside of James Dowding through Stone. That's a place gained for Lark as the windscreen wipers just coming on for one or two of them. You do wonder, to borrow from the phrase from the British Touring Car Championship commentator Alan Hyde, that we've got a certain inclemency here, because the track looks to be a little bit slippery. The windscreen wipers are on the go, so the driver's going to have to start thinking about where the grip lies here. Certainly not delaying Ken Lark, as he now takes his turn to chase down Martin Cully as they swoop through the very, very fast right-hander Abbey. Here is Mike Smith. He is the 4 of Class B, though he's got James Dowding up in his tail. Meanwhile, Martin Cully setting about Richard Morgan. And he's going to try and challenge into Village on the brakes. They swoop through Village, then onto the left-hander at Loop. Accelerating onto Aintree, ready at the front of the field. Paul Taylor's rather disappeared as the red car of Dowding made a move there on the blue machine of Mike Smith. Here they are, this for the lead of Class B. And Smith gets himself back in front of James Dowding. Had a fantastic battle in the first race of the weekend, continuing in the second on the brakes into Brookland as Ken Lark challenges Martin Cully. He's gained the place. Lark can always be relied upon to absolutely fly. Right, we return to the fight for second position. Taylor leads the way down Rose, trying to squeeze to the inside of David Fairbrother through Woodcote. When it's a little bit slippery, Woodcote is a real challenge. Then sprint onto the very, very fast Cops corner. It's the red set of Rose to the inside. He gains the place. Fairbrother demoted into third. But how long? Well, coming up through the order, we have got Peter Kenley and then Josh Johnson. Stars the Mark II Golf GTI Championship. So Tony Absalom had a disappointing start of the weekend. He started in 35th. He's sliding up through the back, and there is Len Simpson, bonnet flapping. He continues to gain places as he puts himself to the inside of Dylan Procetta. Return to the fight for second. It's still Rose under pressure from Fairbrother and down the hanger straight towards Stowe Corner. You can always look to challenge Fairbrother to the outside. Rose has to take the tighter inside line, and David Fairbrother will fancy his chances here. He swoops through, gains the place, but will he slither out to the periphery of the circuit? He almost does, but Rose coming back at him. Rose just drops away as they get on the brakes very heavily into club. A little bit sideways goes David Fairbrother. Also a good scrap behind between Harry Volkard and Richard Morgan. There is Morgan up into fourth place as Volkard hits trouble. Oh, it's a real shame, Harry Volkard. Fairbrother once more in touch with Dan Rose into Abbey. He's going to the inside here of Rose, who looks to turn across anyway. Oh, and there's a hit of contact and Rose goes sideways. Fairbrother takes second. Let's hope they all avoid him, because that is a very, very fast section of track. It's one that the battle for Class B arrives at now. Rose has recovered, but we have got Smith, the blue machine, the red car of James Dowding, the black car of Darren Bedford, all doing battle. Mark IV Golfs, absolutely brilliant investment for any prospective driver. They're giving us some great racing so far this weekend. Dowding once more claims the lead from Smith. Oh, they rub wheels as they accelerate out of Aintree. Now, is that going to open a possibility here for Darren Bedford to challenge as they head down the Wellington Straight? It's Bedford to the inside. It's now, not surprisingly, Dowding and Smith to the inside as well. They all follow each other through Brooklands. James Dowding here, showing that when you want it to be, Mark IV Volkswagen Golf could be about the same width as the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit, because he is proving a very hard man to overtake. James Bark is also known for being a tough man to pass. He is currently withstanding the pressure from the multicoloured car. That's Peter Kenley. Just slithers out a little bit wide through Luffield. That leaves him vulnerable to a whole pack of Mark II Golfs. Nick Penfold is the next of them. There is Josh Johnson. He has got a little bit of pressure on his tail as well, in the form of Tony Taylor. It's Bark who's going to turn this gaggle of cars into Cops, and then Penfold jinks the inside of Kenley, gains the place. Here's Kenley though, may be able to pick up the momentum on the Exeter Cops as they accelerate on to Maggots and Beckett's once more. You can really get a sense here of just the variety of cars in the Dunlop V.A.G Trophy. The regulations are perfectly designed to make it as open to as many different types of cars as possible. But today though, it has been the Mark IV Golf R32 of Paul Taylor, which has been the dominant car. He comes through and takes an emphatic victory on the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit to the delight of the team on the pit wall. what about Class B honours once more? It's been a very keen contest. This time round though, it's James Dowding who is having the honour of heading Darren Bedford through Luffield. Dowding, who followed Bedford to the line in the first race, knows what he needs to do, and that is plant his right foot. He comes through and takes the checkered flag after a fine drive, and he quite rightly has his fist out of the window in celebration. So it was victory for Paul Taylor from David Fairbrother, with Richard Morgan completing the podium from Ken Lark, and then Dan Rose recovering to 5th. James Dowding claiming Class B and an excellent 8th place. Harry Volcard, despite his problems, he finished in 15th position. Well, brilliant weekend's racing. Time to celebrate on the podium.
We had a superb race today. The weather conditions suited our car. We made a blinding start from the front row, and the PTS tailgating car was absolutely flying today. So all credit to the boys that look after it and maintain it from SVE.
Yesterday was a little bit of a struggle. I came second, car dropped off towards the end, but no, today much better. Slippy first couple of laps, but it dried out nicely, and we had a really good battle with the Mark IVs.
2 races into the season, and the standings are as close as you'd expect to see in Class A, and likewise in Class B. Next stop is Rockingham at the end of May.
Well, that's it for part 1. Join us after the break, where we will have racing from the Dunlop Mark II Golf GTI Championship.